In short, one of the pleasantest things about the fair was the light it cast on the American tourist. A good deal of snobbish nonsense has been written about how badly he behaves. I've generally found that the truth is quite the opposite. The American traveler is a monument of endurance, resourcefulness, and good humor. And the World's Fair proves it. Eating at the fair can be expensive, but it need not be. The Missouri Pavilion sells the best hot dog on the premises for 30 cents. At the Oklahoma Pavilion, a first-rate chicken dinner is available for 99 cents. You can eat on Oklahoma's pleasant lawn. Maryland offers a tasty soft-shell crab burger for 60 cents. There is a Belgian waffle that sells for 99 cents. A waffle base, a dollop of whipped cream, and sliced strawberries. A hearty grazie goes to the Mastro Pizza people, who deal in fresh hot pizzas, 25 cents a wedge or $2 for a wheel. It's a perfectly respectable pizza. It is true that many of the large restaurants, particularly in the foreign pavilions, are expensive. This is the Toledo in the Spanish pavilion. Dinner here with drinks can run as high as $15 a person. The service is elegant. The food is good, but each diner will have to judge for himself whether he has eaten $15 worth. A similar meal in a good restaurant in New York might run 2/3 the price, in Madrid about 1/3 the price. However, we should not be churlish about Spanish prices. The Spaniards have had some shattering experiences with the maintenance unions at the fair, and they're paying carpenters, truck drivers, and sweepers wages that would be unheard of in Spain. There is perhaps a rude justice in Americans having to pay this unionized freight. The Newman Award for the most bravely named restaurant goes to the Festival of Gas. The food, we add, is high-priced and digestible. For those who want something midway between a hot dog and a lobster, the Lowenbrow Pavilion is worth a visit. The beer is cold, the food is relatively inexpensive, $1.75 for a plate of wurst, and the waitresses are pretty. Some of the waitresses are also titled. There are 2 countesses and 9 baronesses, and one of the titles goes back to the 11th century. For a while, some of the aristocratic ladies were returning tips out of embarrassment. Now, after 2 months, they've learned to murmur a gemütlich Dankeschön and pocket the change. For the kids, the Lowenbrow people offer root beer, making them as happy as Hans and Fritz. There is one foolproof way of dining which ensures fair prices, no waiting, and getting exactly what you want. It consists of bringing your own food and having a picnic. Picnicking is highly recommended for anyone with a short temper and a limited budget. However, the fair's fathers should have set aside more picnic areas and made it easier for do-it-yourself eaters. And while I'm at it, there are not enough drinking fountains either, and there are hardly any maps or directional signs to help people get around. Architecturally, the fair has been taking a cruel beating from the critics. One writer says it's an accumulation of bad taste. Another calls it an architectural happening. And Rainer Banham, an English architectural writer, calls the fair a populated corpse that fails to make a virtue even of its size. All of this seems to us excessive. Many of the buildings, such as Bell telephones, are clearly not intended to look like buildings or to serve any function other than to house an exhibit and to attract people. They do both of these things well enough, even though the architects and the sponsoring corporations did not set styles or revolutionize American architecture. Indeed, many of the industrial pavilions have an almost humorous quality, as if the designers were having a joke at everyone's expense. The New York State Pavilion is one of the few buildings that will remain standing after the fair closes its doors in October 1965. It deserves to. It's the work of Philip Johnson, and it is uninhibited, attractive, and modern without being sterile. Elevators speed you to two saucer-like observation platforms which afford a grand view of the area. There is a sense of motion, of space, of light, and of air in the New York State Pavilion, and to our way of thinking, it's one of the best structures at the fair. The building proper is covered by a translucent oval roof. The floor is a much enlarged road map of New York State. But the roof is the most remarkable feature. It consists of innumerable sections of brightly colored plastic through which daylight floods the arena. What Philip Johnson has done is to take the European concept of the high-roofed arcade, like the one in Milan, and restate it in modern American terms. The effect is refreshing. It's pleasant to contemplate such a structure in the middle of New York or Chicago. The stone wall of the Japanese pavilion has also been warmly praised for its originality. I took a leisurely walk around it and ran into one of the nicest people I met at the fair.
Here comes Tic-Toc the robot.
His name, he told me, was Tic-Toc. Tic-Toc strolls around the Japanese pavilion every afternoon, if the weather is good and if his batteries are not feeling run down. He proved to be a congenial robot and consented to an interview, provided we followed robots' rules of order. There's this to be said about the fair: if you walk with a robot, only a few people bother to stare. Tic-Toc's conversation is limited, consisting mostly of plugs for Japanese watches, but he would not have been sent here if he weren't willing to work. Strictly speaking, the New York World's Fair is not a World's Fair, in the sense that it is not recognized as one by the international office in Paris that worries about such things. That's one reason so few foreign countries are represented. Britain is not here, Italy isn't, France isn't, West Germany isn't, most of the Latin Americans are not, neither are the Russians nor the other communist countries. Among the countries that are here, it's generally agreed that the most successful pavilions are the Mexican, the Japanese, and the Spanish, especially the Spanish. Everything in the Spanish pavilion has style and quality, including a statue of Father Junipero Serra, who built the California missions. The sculptor is Pablo Serrano. The pavilion cost the Spanish government more than $7 million and took 9 months to build. The ceiling consists of blocks of Flemish pine carved in Spain and then painstakingly fitted together here. In the art gallery, there are 3 flamboyant Picassos. This one depicts the artist Gauguin. Spanish officials bought them in France, where Picasso, a native of Spain, has lived for many years. The political implications of that are intriguing. Picasso has leaned to the left for much of his life and has never been on exactly close terms with the Franco government. And yet, the sternly anti-communist Spaniards had no compunctions about buying these paintings and giving them prominence at the fair. All of this suggests that art transcends politics. It also suggests that Picasso's reputation is so high, particularly in American art circles, that Spain found it a good idea to bury old differences in the interest of Spanish art and the Spanish image in America.